The 4x4 Podcast, episode 138, the 2018 Christmas Gift Guide.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it, or you're on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan, Craig, and Rich.
Well, hello and Merry Christmas to everybody. Tonight we do not have Craig on the line because he goes to work at somewhere in the butt crack of dawn. It sounds miserable. I don't want any part of that. So in his place, we have Frank Rebelo. How are you doing tonight, Frank?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Excellent,
Awesome.
Excellent. And Rich, of course, is here. So the problem now is that I've already recorded an interview with Frank, but it has not been released yet, so we're doing this all out of order. And you will get to know Frank a little bit better through this show, and then whenever I do get around to hitting publish on the interview where we talk Mojave Road, we will really get to know Frank and all of the things that he's doing. So this, of course, is our 2018 Christmas Gift Guide episode, and we have broken them down into various price ranges as we normally do, and we may add some things as we go through the show because we've got stuff in the $25 range, the $50 to $100 range, $100 to $200, $2 to $300, $500, and plus. And there's always things that we come up with as we discuss things. So, Frank, since this is your first time on the 4x4 podcast for reals, can you give yourself a little bit of introduction and kind of who it is that you're writing for or how you are postured in the off-roading space?
Gotcha. My name's Frank. I'm based out of Northern California, and I'm writing for trail4runner.com. Do a bunch of modifications, reviews of products, things of that nature, specifically for 5th gen 4Runners, and that's exactly what I own, is a 2015 Barcelona Red 5th gen Toyota 4Runner. Absolutely love it. Light modifications on it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll start with the first one on here because I put it in here. So in the $25 range, and this is one that doesn't necessarily have to fit in the $25 range. It could be less or it could be more, is a donation to the Blue Ribbon Coalition or Corva or any of the other organizations that support off-roading in terms of land access and things like that. So have you guys had any interaction with Blue Ribbon or Corva or anything?
Blue Ribbon, yeah. It's a great organization.
Yeah, and so Blue Ribbon, they're nationwide.
I'm glad that we've got somebody like the Albrights doing that work, because it needs to be done, and it's tedious, and it takes the right kind of person to do it.
Yeah, and so they are, like you mentioned, Del Albright and his wife, they are going to Washington, D.C., and they are lobbying for land access type things. And that they're doing the hard work. So anything we can do to enable them to go and look out for us as off-roading community, I encourage you. Corva is more specific to California, but, California is, in a lot of ways, off-roading mecca. There's so many different trails and everything. So even if you're not in California, you can support them in the hopes that you can someday come down here to Southern California and experience Johnson Valley or hit the Rubicon Trail, things like that. So definitely look out for those kinds of opportunities. And I guess I should add that if you go to the show notes here, the 4x4podcast.com/138, we will have all of the links to everything that we're discussing here. And if you want to go and give a donation to Blue Ribbon Coalition, we're past Giving Tuesday. Unfortunately, didn't get this out in time, but there's still plenty of opportunities to give here at the end of the year. And since they're nonprofits, sometimes that's a tax write-off. So, all right.
Yep.
Frank, I'm going to let you go with this next one since you put it in here.
Yeah, so a really cheap, inexpensive item to have, cast iron pan. Too many times I've gone out, even myself on the trails or just out camping, and I end up just with a small, cooking bowl, metal cooking bowl, and not really having like the room to cook like larger items or even heat up food really well over the fire, because sometimes you roll in, like, you either have like a site that has like a predetermined spot where you can kind of like set something on top of, and sometimes you don't. So just a good durable, long lasting cast iron pan would make a large difference, especially cooking outdoors. For
sure. And in the past we have had Lodge, a famous maker of cast iron cookware, as one of the sponsors of the 4x4 podcast. And I still, even though I have kind of transitioned over to using the Timbo Tusk Scottle for a lot of things, I still keep a cast iron pan in my, well, especially my work truck, but oftentimes in the trailer. Cast iron pans, I think we can expand that to include Dutch ovens, because there's a lot of things that you can do with a Dutch oven that it's just not possible in a Scottle or anything else. So that's an excellent one. So be sure to check out Lodge Cast Iron. They actually just recently opened up a larger, I guess it's in the same facility, but their forge, they've doubled their capacity. And so now they're able to re-release some of their old heritage styles and things like that. And they've expanded to a couple new things too. So it's really cool. Go check them out at Lodge. I think it's lodge.com, but I don't know. We'll have a link for that in the show notes as well. All right, Rich, you're next.
Awesome. T-shirts. Everybody likes T-shirts, right? Well, you can order the Classic 4x4 Podcast T-shirt from Amazon. You can just search Classic 4x4 Podcast T-shirt, and it'll come up. $20. Just as durable as a Lodge cast iron skillet. And when you are done wearing it, they make great shop rags, kitchen towels.
Great for washing your truck.
Multiple uses around the house. I mean, they'll go on forever and ever.
Yeah. So, and this is something that we haven't really promoted on this show, I don't think. But we do have some merchandise available on the Amazon store. You don't even have to go to use our link, the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon. You can just go shop using somebody else's affiliate link and
use ours though.
But we definitely prefer ours. And I am in the process of getting these released as hoodies as well, because it is wintertime and maybe a short sleeve shirt isn't for you. I know there's lots of snow in some parts of the country. So that is that one. All right. I will take the next one here, the MobNetic Pro 90. And this is the magnetic phone or device mount that uses magnets, made by Mob Armor. And this one is hands down my favorite in-vehicle device holder. Just because it's so simple to just put your phone up there when you're getting into the vehicle, and when you're getting out, you can just pull it off. There's no, even though the RAM mount X grip holds your device in extremely tight, it does require two hands, and it's a little fiddly to get just right. Whereas this is just slap it on and it's good to go. And I use that all through the Mojave Road, lots of rough terrain, and not once did I have a problem with my device moving. And actually, just recently, when I went up off-roading in Big Bear, I discovered that I can just as easily put my CB or ham radio, the mic just is magnetic. So I can just pop that right up on there, and it's not bouncing all over the cab.
That's a good idea.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
It was just one of those things. I noticed that there was a metal piece on the little clips that slide in, that's on the back of all those hand mics. Yeah, it just popped right on there and stayed. So awesome new use. I'm going to have to share that one with Mob Armor. Maybe they don't know. But very cool. All right, Frank, I'll let you take the next one.
Yeah. So can you really have too many soft shackles? I mean, it's simple, it's cheap. I mean, they're like $40, $35, soft shackles, and instead of using like a large, like metal, like what are they called, like D-rings or anything like that, just, use a soft shackle. You can throw them in your bag. I mean, it's a real easy stocking stuffer right there.
Absolutely. And these
You
are
could fit like a ton of soft shackles in a stocking.
Yeah.
yeah. That's like the ton of feathers or the ton of bricks. Which one weighs more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so these soft shackles are a great replacement for those heavy D-rings that rattle around. They're a lot more... they're not as badly affected to line pulls in different directions. So those D-rings, if you pull in an awkward direction or not straight on, it definitely reduces the overall strength of them. Whereas these soft shackles are not as susceptible to those kinds of effects. Plus, they don't become projectiles when it snaps.
And I recently lost a D-ring on the COBDR, so if anybody finds it, it's mine. It was a worn one too. It was a good one.
Oh man!
But if you don't, soft shackles. I'll take a soft shackle too. So.
Yeah, and these are actually Blue Ridge Overland Gear's premier soft shackle. And you know how much we love Blue Ridge Overland Gear. And it's funny, when you scroll down on here from their page, there's a bunch of other really cool things. Man, this show kills me. The chainsaw bra, have you seen that one from Blue Ridge?
Yes.
Great name. So it's basically a way to strap down your chainsaw while it's in its case to a roof rack. I love that it's called.
How many squirrels can you fit in a chainsaw bra?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Did they mention that on the video? That's how they gauge the size of all their bags, is how many little stuffed squirrels you can fit in a bag.
That's funny. Well, see, this isn't a bag, so...
Oh, that's the best.
It's hard to say. Anyways, can't get distracted here. Let's see. Rich, you got the next one. Save us while I'm getting distracted here.
I don't know which one of you guys put this one on there, but it was genius. It's prepaid gift cards to a car wash. There's nothing worse. I mean, you go out wheeling, you're covered in mud, you go and you drop another $20-$30 on a car wash. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So if you got a loved one that's into four-wheeling,
yep, that's a good one.
Gift cards to a car wash.
So, and it's interesting, the one time that Frank and I really went off-roading, I was able to sneak through the car wash, but he was not.
Nope,
so,
too high.
Make sure that you if you're getting a gift card, make sure it's to a car wash that allows the vehicle to fit in. Just saying. Okay. So, Frank, I'll let you take this next one as well.
Sure, yeah. Digital tire deflator. ARB makes one. They just came out with it, I think, this year. Some tire deflators can be hit or miss. You're trying to air down, especially when you get to numbers down in 15 pounds and below and stuff like that. Like every 1 pound kind of makes a difference. So a digital tire inflator, whatever pressures you're running off road, just kind of being accurate, or if you want to match, your back tires, your front tires, it's a good gift. Yeah,
and the precision you get with a digital deflator, or the gauge in there, makes a big difference. So 1 or 2 PSI may not make a huge difference, but as those tires warm up or cool down, then it fluctuates, and you want to get it dialed in as close as you can to whatever air pressure you're actually looking for. All right, Frank, I think you put this one in here, the odor bomb, the anti-odor bomb.
Yeah. The it's like this odor bomb. Okay, so anyway, imagine you've been spending a week in your rig, camping, campfires, sweat, nasty, who knows what's it.
Or that you drove across the Mojave River and flooded out your vehicle and got it really good and stinky.
Yeah.
Hypothetical situation here that we're talking about.
Yeah. Either way, car smells like you don't even want to open it. So the odor bomb is made by Adams Polishes. It uses a non-toxic chlorine dioxide to help not mask odors, but really actually pull them out. And it comes with this charcoal bag to really help keep absorbing whatever odors are in there. If there's any moisture that's in your car, especially through wintertime, it's great to just kind of keep in there. just extra moisture from rain, things like that, to help kind of pull that out of there. And the best part is the odor bag and stuff, it lasts up to like 2 years. And then since it's all like biodegradable, you can just cut it open, dump it out, and it's pretty much all non-toxic, safe, So it seems like a really good product, especially for the money of like $40 to have your rig not smell like a pile of wet laundry.
Or a pile of wet laundry and Febreze. Because that stuff just does not work. It's just a masking the odor, but this looks like it does not. It in fact says it right there on the website. Not a masking agent. So.
Yeah. Nope.
Very cool. Well, I'll have to give that a look.
I have it sitting in my car right now, and I'll really put it through its paces and get this nasty river campfire.
That hypothetical Mojave River water is giving it a good...
Hypothetical Mojave River water. Perfect.
Somebody should put that in a bottle. Okay. So, Rich, I'll let you take the next one here.
It's the Fenix LED flashlights, the PD35. I've actually got this light, and it works really well. Insanely bright. I can't even impress upon how bright this light is.
Oh, yeah. So I don't have this light, but I have seen it in action. I was at a range at night, and the guy that was kind of running things and doing the range orientation turned his light on, and in basically zero illumination, we were able to identify targets out at 250, 300 yards. So
wow.
Yeah, I believe it.
And this is just a little light that runs on a single AA battery, is that?
Yeah. I was reminiscing about the days when I was a cop in the military, and we used to have to carry those big 4-cell mag flashlights that were insane, and now we can get so much more power out of a smaller flashlight. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. 1,000 lumens out of a single AA battery light.
And I think it's rated for 200 meters in ideal conditions, but...
Yeah, that is impressive. Have you had to exercise the Fenix warranty at all?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's good. I don't know what that means, if it's just extremely well built. I am always curious about different companies' warranty program. I've had great experience with Streamlights in the past.
Yeah. No, this is it's a solid light.
Awesome. Uses the Cree XPL version 5 LED with a lifespan of 50,000 hours. So this is a light that will outlast you probably. You got 50,000 hours left in you?
It's about, I don't know how long, it may 12 to 14 centimeters long, something like that.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty sweet. All right. So next up, we have the Wacaco Nanopress. I didn't add this one. Have you used this, Frank?
That was I haven't used it personally, but I was at a demonstration of it being used. And coffee on the trail is always a really hot item, and especially when it gets into how coffee is made, people can get really particular.
Oh, seriously.
The guy really urged me that this is actually a way of making espresso on the trail. That it is actually using high pressure forced through grains to make a quality espresso. But what I really liked about this one is, the AeroPress, you put a little paper filter in, you force it through, something like that. But this is a little bit smaller, and it looks like you just kind of pour some water in, you load some grounds into a little interior cup. You actually just finger pump it, and then it builds up to over 200 and something pounds of pressure, and then it'll actually pour you a 2-ounce espresso shot. But what I really liked about it and thought it was really cool was it doesn't require filters, because it uses the stainless steel inner metal filter. So to make another one, you just tap out your grounds, reload it, put some more water in, and just keep going.
Interesting. 261 psi. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know that any espresso machines actually generate that much psi. I'm not that much of a coffee nerd, but that's impressive. I may have to try this out.
Yeah.
It was. Let me scroll back here.
I watched it. Watching it demo, and it was just it's pretty nifty. It's like a little pill shape. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's probably about like long or something, and really convenient.
Yeah, it looks easy to clean. Are you using an AeroPress now, Frank? What do you use now?
Right now I use a pour over.
Oh, okay.
I've got the AeroPress, and I use it just about every day during the work week anyways. When I'm out in the middle of nowhere not using the coffee maker at home, I have an AeroPress. I do like, man, that would really get you going in the morning. $65.
Yeah. I'm still doing cold brew. I just take a container full of cold brew concentrate, and I just add hot water on the trail. It's super easy, but I kind of like the idea of this Nanopresso.
Yeah. So I use the cold brew in the summertime when I have iced coffee, but I still go for the AeroPress during the cooler months and year-round while I was in Alaska, because everything is a cooler month in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
But this definitely looks like a pretty good, and I like that it doesn't require anything but the coffee grinds. So I guess the key is then getting the espresso grind to the coffee.
Yeah, I mean that's simple to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that is $65 for the Wacaco. It's fun to say too.
Yeah, Wacaco.
Wacaco.
I don't know where you're seeing that. I'm seeing $30.
Oh, what?
They have a couple various sizes.
I was looking at the Nanopress.
Around $30 to, I think the largest one they have is 65.
And the smallest is 20.
Man. Okay. That's definitely a
That's
stocking
an adapter.
stuffer.
Never mind.
Okay. Is that if you want to use the little pods?
Yeah, it'll even do like the K-cup pods.
Huh. Well, I don't know what I think about that, but I do like the espresso barista kit for double espresso. That's the $30 one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, be sure to check the show notes for that one so that you can see a picture of our poorly described nano thingy-majig. The Nanopresso. Where do they come up with these names? Anyways, next up, I will take this one, is the Factor 55 flat link. So Factor 55 is all about the closed loop winching system. So there's no loops that are going to come free, and the flat link is actually one of their older products. I think this may be, I think the Thimble was actually their first product, the Pro Link, and the flat link came shortly after. So you can spool your winch line all the way into the fair leads, and it'll just lay flat up against there, so it's not flopping around. You don't have to like run the hook over to a weird angle, and then it has a loop on the end, so that you can use that closed loop system. Much safer than a lot of the traditional types of hooks. And Factor 55 does a lot of destructive testing where they go through and put so much load on their stuff that it does break, and so that way they can actually get these things certified to the working and breaking strength. So these are very, very cool. I have not yet added one to mine because I was waiting until I upgrade the winch to something with the rope instead of the line, the metal line. But it looks like right now it's $140, or actually you can order it straight from Factor 55 and cut out a little bit of the middleman, save a couple bucks for $132.95. So, but when you get there to their website at factor55.com, you'll see all the other cool things, like the Ultra Hook. But
the Ultra Hook is sweet.
Yeah, I don't know, $237 for the hook. It's kind of a steep ask. It's kind of a lot.
That's why it's on a Christmas list.
Yeah, another product that was released at SEMA this year was from Warren. It's their Sidewinder and Hyperlink recovery. It's similar to that Factor 55 closed loop system.
Yeah.
But it's got an integrated shackle built into it. So that's something to look for next year.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. All right. Rich, since I think you live in the coldest part of the country right now, we'll let you take this next one.
What's the next one? Oh, the Buddy Heater.
Yeah.
I personally don't use them. I know a lot of people that do, but it's the Mr. Buddy. portable buddy heaters. I think they've also got the little buddy, I think, too, is a smaller version of it.
And then there's the big one.
They're propane heaters that a lot of people will use in their tents in the wintertime. I don't know how safe that is. You can worry about carbon monoxide and everything, but
yeah, they do have a low oxygen cutoff switch. I have not fully put that to the test.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've got a tip over.
They absolutely do have a tip over.
So.
Yep. Yeah, when I went moose hunting with my wife a couple years ago, this was a late season moose hunt in Alaska, and we actually, just cracked the windows in the Yukon. This was back when we had that, and had this sitting on a non-flammable platform in the vehicle, even though it really wasn't necessary, just because of the way the heat is projected off the ceramic plate in there. But definitely stayed warm all night long. I did have to change out the 1 pound propane canister at one point in the night, but things work extremely well.
Now they're a radiant heater, and it says they put out 4,000 to 9,000 BTU, so plenty warm.
It's got a low setting and a high setting, so they do extremely, extremely well. So I don't know if I would trust it in some other tents, but I have heard of people like using them, like hanging it underneath a rooftop tent, like that overhang portion, so that the heat can come up into the tent, and that seems to work pretty well. I've toyed with the idea, but we just haven't needed it. With our CVT Mount Rainier tent, the Denali, I don't know, it's the big one. It's got 2 ladders.
Right.
We got the extreme weather hood for that, and so it seals in the warm air pretty well. Whenever you're using that, you may want to use one of those odor bombs, just because it does seal in the air pretty well. Just saying. It'll start smelling like feet real fast in there.
I mean, when you have that loaded with 3 kids and a dog.
Oh, yeah. Man, that dog's breath smells like death. Ugh. Anyways, Frank, save us. We got the next one here.
All right. The Kelty Love Seat Camp Chair. It sounds kind of corny to have a double seat, like a love seat style camp chair, but too many times I've been out, camping and whatnot with my girlfriend. So whether you're out there with your wife, your husband, or whoever, just putting 2 chairs next to each other is kind of like a pain in the butt, especially like if you're trying to share a blanket, sit by the fire, stay warm. So the Kelty Love Seat really kind of tackles that. And it has cup holders on both sides, which is super cool.
Very nice. Now, this is the only downfall I see to this is that it's the old, like, I don't know, you get those like $15, $20 folding camp chairs from Walmart or something. And then the back of the arm always slides down. I can't tell from the picture if they have the solution to that. But I've seen some chairs have that sorted out, but I don't know. I do like the idea of the love seat. These chairs are not my first go-to, but the trade-off is that now I have chairs that are not love seat chairs for camp. So it's a give and take. Apparently there's nothing perfect out of there for camp chairs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will add this one. I'll talk about this one because I did add it. In the past, we have had Treaty Oak Off-Road on the show, and since we've already talked about the soft shackles, here we have their kinetic recovery rope. And this one comes in at $100 on sale right now. I think when I added it, it was much more than that. So this particular one is... so these are all made in Houston, Texas, from U.S.-sourced materials. So I like supporting those U.S. companies. Extremely well put together, very durable. Let's see. And when you go to the website, they've got some guidance on how to pick which line you need. So the tensile strength of the 3/4 inch kinetic recovery rope is 19,000 pounds. And their recommendation is to get a kinetic recovery rope that is 4 times your gross vehicle weight rating. So you do the math for your particular vehicle. Make sure to add in the weight of, all of the other stuff that you put in there. And if you're an overlander, then it's probably 4 times the gross vehicle weight already, and then get the correct rope for that.
Now there's no excuses. I don't want to see anybody else out there using a flat yellow toe strap as a snatch strap.
Oh man,
so
that's
no
a good
more
way
excuses.
to lose a bumper.
You know about it. We told you about it. Go grab one of these.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned what the difference is between a toe strap and a kinetic recovery rope, but those toe straps do not have any give to them. However, when put under a lot of tension or any kind of load, it still stores energy, and it's going to unload with some vengeance, and it's going to pass those shock loads right through your vehicle, and it's not good for anything. Those are made for towing.
They're toe straps.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Whereas a kinetic recovery rope is more like a rubber band. It's got some extension to it, and it will transmit that energy through the vehicle and get you unstuck without the heavy shock load being applied. So those are very, very good. Highly recommend you check that out over at treatyoakoffroad.com. Okay. Next up, Frank, I'll let you run this one since you added that one on there.
Yeah, the Benchmade grip Tillium for the $1. I've looked around at other knives, and to find a knife, with that high quality of a steel for that, budget of a price, the Benchmade grip Tillium is a great knife to have around. Sharp. They also have a really good, what's it called? They have really good customer service and a really good warranty, right, Dan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that just before we hit record. I've got let's see, I've had that one for over a decade, and I did manage to break off the tip on the drop point blade, and I was very sad and didn't do anything about it, and it sat in a toolbox for so long that it now no longer opens. I am a bad knife owner, but I called Benchmade just today, actually, not knowing you had this on the list, and they're going to replace the blade and completely refurbish all of the internals and all the springs and everything inside there for a tiny fraction of the cost to replace it. So I am a huge fan of Benchmade dives. These are, in terms of folding blades, hands down my favorite. So they also have, let's see, I'll have to actually look this up and hopefully not derail everything, but they have a Life Sharp service, so you don't actually have to sharpen it yourself. If you want to send it back, they will clean, oil, and adjust any resharpen. Like if you have resharpened and you've somehow messed up the edge, then they'll take care of that for you. You just box it up, postage paid, and you may want to insure it because Benchmade knives are not exactly cheap, but they are worth it. And in the future, we're going to have our friends over at LT Wright Knives on the show because they are extremely smart on different blades and the materials and everything that goes into it. And they can probably give us a better rundown of the different kinds of edges that you can find on the knife blades and what they're good for and what they're, depending on the use, really impacts what kind of knife you get. So, and there's different points to it, not just the different materials or the types of the blade steel. So, I don't know. Have you guys done any research on the different uses for the different types of points, the drop point or Tonto point?
I have. So I looked into it a while ago. I'm a little bit rusty on it, but the different points are all different. Essentially, cutting. Whether you want a knife that's made for cutting, whether you want a knife that's made for puncturing or stabbing, the different points just determine where the load is going to be placed on the blade tip. So I think like a Tonto knife is more like it's like a point knife where it's made for like stabbing or things like that. Drop point carries its load, more towards the tip, but not so much at the tip. It gets really in depth between the. I mean, I came into this thinking like, how does anybody spend $800 on a knife? And then after learning about all the different steel types and materials, durability, edges, and all that stuff, like I understand now why you would spend $800 on a quality, high steel, like a high material grade knife and why there's so many blade designs and things like that. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So highly, if you're looking for a folding blade knife, definitely give the Benchmade. The Griptilian, like you said, is probably one of their most affordable and most popular blades. There's probably a good segment of our audience here that already carries a Benchmade, but the other segment, they need to check it out at benchmade.com. So, actually, Frank, I'm going to let you take this next one as well, because you are, I don't know if you've hit publish on that one yet, but you've got a lot of fire extinguisher smarts. And then, Rich, you can chime in, because I have a feeling you have a fair amount of education on fire extinguishers.
Yeah. So a great gift for anybody out there is a good quality fire extinguisher. I recently got in touch with H3R Performance that makes a very great high quality fire extinguisher. They said most of their fire extinguishers are in, vehicles at SEMA. Everything from off-roaders to, luxury high, like even just old school classics. But anyway, that's beside the point. What I really like about their fire extinguishers, and I've actually I have two of them with me, and they're just really well constructed, all metal design, great quality products, and you can just tell just by the way it feels. But a great quality fire extinguisher, we don't know what kind of rig you're driving, whether it's prone to fire or not. But beside the point, it's always good to have, because you never know when a fire will happen, whether it's at your campsite, whether you're cooking, whether you've, done some homemade wiring in your vehicle yourself and you're super proud about it and something goes wrong. A good fire extinguisher is great to have, because it could mean the difference between, watching your rig burn to the ground or just having to clean up a little, mess from your fire extinguisher. They offer two different types. One is a Halgard type, which is a clear, clean agent type gas that will disperse the flames and put it out. Not quite learned on that science yet, but all I know is you can spray it up into your electrical area wherever there's a fire, and there's no messy residue, there's nothing corrosive, and it'll help extinguish the fire. The other one is like a dry chemical, like which you would find in a normal fire extinguisher to put out all your A, B, and C type fires. So I actually have that one mounted in the rear of my vehicle for if I'm parked, if I'm camping, fire starts to go out of control, or I see somebody that needs help, I can grab that one quickly and really help extinguish it.
All right, Rich, now is your turn. Have you had any experience with the Halgard or Max Out type of chemical in those fire extinguishers?
The Halgard is good for electrical fires. It's rated as a Class B and a Class C extinguisher, so it's not going to work on your Class A type fires. Class A type fires are going to be your combustible, it's your wood, your paper products, stuff like that. But it works great for electronics because it doesn't leave all that residue and everything. The other one that you listed was just the dry chem. That one is listed as a ABC extinguisher, so it's going to work on the Class A fires. It's going to work on the Class B fires, which are flammable liquids, and the Class C fires, which are flammable gases.
So if there's a fire under your dash, you want the Halgard. If it's a fire inside the engine compartment, you probably want the Max Out.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of fluids in there. So
I would stick with an ABC.
Yeah.
The ABC extinguishers are going to cover all your grounds. Typically, if you got a fire up underneath your desk, they're going to total the vehicle anyway. So
yeah,
we don't really care.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about it on the past.
Residue at that point.
Yeah, just ball that one up. We haven't talked about it in the past. Did you see that video of that Jeep that just burned to the ground? And the guy, I guess, tried to put it out and then gave up and just set up his camera and video.
Coyote Works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Super sad. That one got a lot of.
He made a heck of an effort, though, not so much in trying to protect his Jeep, but just keeping that fire from becoming a bigger problem than it was with the wildland around him. So,
yeah, it's a very sad story. Maybe we'll put a link to that because it's a video, and it's really something else. So maybe this could have been prevented if he had one of these fire extinguishers from H3R. All right. Rich, I don't know if you put this one in there, but you've got some experience with Midland radios, so I'll let you take this one.
Oh, okay. I think I misspoke. I think I said Class C electrical fires.
Yeah, Class A is the regular combustible materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Midland, the MXT 400, that's their big radio. I can't remember what the range was on it. Let me pull up.
Well, it's a 40-watt radio, so let's see.
Yeah, it's their big one. It's their 40-watt radio. And then you can also combine it with their bigger, higher-powered antennas, too. So that increases your range even more.
Oh, wow.
I've got the 275, which is a 15-watt. But, yeah, if you're really concerned about range, the 400 is the way to go. The base unit is about the size of your standard CB radio. It does not have the controls on the mic like the 275 does. But it's definitely a powerful radio.
Yeah, so their website shows it as the maximum no line of sight obstruction is 65 miles. Most conditions with some obstacles is going to be 15 to 20 miles. And obstructed is 5 to 10 miles. So that's in like a dense city area. But out in the woods, sounds like 15 to 20 miles based on this.
Yeah, and your real life results are going to vary.
Yeah.
That's what we found with the 275.
Yep. And this is just another kind of foot stomping moment for us to get everybody off of CB. If you're not going to get into ham radio, and even if you do get into ham radio, I still recommend having a good GMRS radio, just because the simplicity of it, it's so accessible, and a lot of people have it. So, Cody, if you're listening from the Trail Chasers podcast, get rid of your CB. He and I had a discussion about this just before I went up to Big Bear to meet him. He said, "Oh, that's all I have up there." And then turns out everybody else had a FRS radio. So guess what? Guess what we used?
Which you can use with a GMRS. So
exactly. So be sure to check that one out. The price on this one right now, it looks like from MidlandUSA.com is $250, and you may be able to find that cheaper elsewhere, such as at the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon. Just saying. All right, next one up is the Marmot 3-person tent, and this is another thing we were talking about recently. I know Frank is in the process of trying to decide what kind of tent to get. So this one that you've put on here is the Catalyst 3P. I assume that's because it's a 3-person tent. And this is just a traditional style dome tent. Looks like it's got 2 main poles that go across and then one just to kind of fluff out the shape a little bit. Looks like a backpacking tent. However, backpacking tents are not always the most comfortable or most durable for, our car camping, overlanding lifestyle. So is this the tent you're still looking at, or is this maybe going to be replaced by something else on your wish list?
It's I'm looking at it, but I'm thinking I might replace it by another option we'll cover in a little bit.
Excellent. I think you'll be pretty happy with that other choice. It's hard to go wrong with the backpacking tent because it does give you the flexibility that if you venture off away from the vehicle, that you can, take that tent and stuff it in a backpack and take it with you. I don't know how much this particular tent weighs, but if you are going to be backpacking a tent, so it looks like 6 pounds. That's not too bad, but if you're backpacking, 6 pounds may be a lot, so you may want to split that between somebody else. If it's a 3-person tent, one person gets to take poles and stakes, one person gets to take the rainfly, one person gets to take the tent. Done. Spread that 6 pounds out.
Or somebody else carries all the food.
Or there's that. Yeah. All right, next up, we have the ARB onboard, the high performance, the twin air compressor. So this is kind of the measuring stick for all other air compressors. This one's got, of course, it is the big daddy when it comes to price. A little over $500 for a air compressor. This is something that you're really gonna want to have around for a long time to get your money's worth out of it. I've heard varying range of pleasure with it. I've know some people who've had them for a very long time and ended up going to a CO2 tank instead because there's fewer moving parts in a CO2 tank. Whereas these, even though ARB does have a tremendous warranty, if it stops working, then it really just stops working. You don't want that to happen when you need it most. But it does have a high airflow, 100% duty cycle at 72 degrees with a maximum pressure of 100 psi. Some people do use these for their lockers, but there's some other bits that you would need for that to function properly. So I think it's really there's a bunch of different kits that you can order this or configurations, whether you want to use it for an air compressor for tires, or if you want to run it through like the up-down air manifold system that we talked about that I saw over at the Sand Sport Super Show. That way you can air up all your tires quickly to the same pressure and everything. So that's definitely one worth checking out if you're really looking for, the last air compressor you'll have to buy for a very long time. What do we have next here? Oh, Rich, this one's all yours. This one is super awesome.
The Smart Winch FTM. This was another product that I saw highlighted at SEMA. It's basically a smart fairlead that will work with any winch. It replaces the synthetic fairlead already on your car. So basically it has a couple of vertical rollers that are mounted inside of the fairlead, and they feed your synthetic line left and right so it spools correctly back all nice and tidy.
It's a surefire way to avoid the bird's nest inside the drum.
What's that?
It'll help you avoid the bird's nest inside the drum.
Yes, it will. I've seen the videos of it working, and it's pretty impressive. But it's also got a load indicator on it that indicates how much load is on the winch line, and it's got some breakaway features that are pretty cool with it too. It's expected to be released sometime in 2019. I think it's closer towards mid of the year, maybe the end of the year, and they suspect it's going to be somewhere around $300, which I think is worth every penny.
Yeah. So it's funny when you go to, I think it's just smartwinch.com. It's basically a blank website with the video and their email address. So not a lot going on there. However, I may have to contact them to get them on the show to talk about this a little more. So it does look like it's compatible with any type of winch or any brand.
As long as you're running synthetic line.
Yep. And it's super, super cool. I think $300 for that is definitely worth it. You never have to get your fingers anywhere near the fairlead and all the other features that it provides. That's very cool.
It's got automatic unspooling. It's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, and the one thing that really captured my attention was it puts tension on the line as you're spooling it back in, and then that it does kind of walk it back and forth across the drum, so it's nice and tidy in there. That's so awesome. All right, Frank, we're stepping up to the $500 price range. Now we're talking tents again.
Okay, the swag bag. So how we talked about earlier, what I was debating between the tent or something else, it was the swag bag. So here in the United States, apparently it's hard to find a good swag bag, especially when you want to find one for two people, like a large one. And, recently I've just kind of been looking around for a new tent, new way of sleeping, and a swag bag just looks super comfortable. I mean, just the idea of like a thick, heavy-duty canvas, a nice soft pad inside, sounds wonderful to crawl into after a long day of just exploring and driving. And I know, Dan, you're very familiar with the swag living.
Oh, yeah. So, all of our friends in Australia, they're probably just laughing right now because they've had swags there for decades. And they are found on top of many, many vehicles. And that's where I first got my hands on one. I'd seen it before. I was looking at, I think Kodiak Canvas is just about the only swag made here in the U.S. Just because it's not, for some reason, real popular here. So when I was in Australia a couple summers ago, I picked one up, and I've logged over 100 nights in that tent, and absolutely love it. It's a single-person tent, but it's, that heavy, durable canvas. It's got that no-seam mesh on there, so if it's super hot, you can just roll back the canvas and have kind of an open air experience, and not be killed by all the crazy insects that are found in Australia. Or like I used it in Thailand. It worked great there as well. So these are very cool tents, and I love that you can just roll it up with your sleeping bag and the pad and everything in it. So when you do set down for camp, you just kind of roll it out, stake it down, and you're done. So
yeah, I like the idea of how you were saying you just leave it on the top of the vehicle, and since it's all contained in like a heavy, durable canvas bag, you don't have to worry about if rain or water gets on it. You just unflop it, and everything inside is just nice and dry.
yeah, so I keep mine. I still use it all the time whenever I'm working and have overnight stays. So I keep mine just strapped in the back of my Humvee. And it didn't matter if it's rained or if it's super dusty. I haven't found any dust inside my, like laying on my pillow, because it's folded up and I keep it zipped up, well protected. And that heavy, it's not plastic really, but it's like that heavy plastic tarp material.
That PVC type.
Yeah, the PVC type bottom. So you're not worried about water coming up through there. All the seams are sealed. Things are amazing. So if you're looking for a tent that you're going to use for a long time, I recommend checking out the swag type tent. An alternative may be like the Oz, what is
Oz tent?
Yeah, the Oz tent, like the 30-second. It's still a ground tent, but it's a quick strike tent. It pops up real fast. Has lots of room inside. You can probably stand up. Whereas the swag, there's not a lot of living type of stuff that you could do inside the tent, because it's still a low sitting ground tent. But that's that one. I like it. So I see we're adding some other things on here. Somebody talked to me about the rigid adapt LED lights, because I hadn't seen these before, but they sound fascinating.
Yeah, these are pretty cool. So Rigid has designed a series of light bars. They range from 20 inches to 50 inches, and they've got 3 different optics for their LEDs in there. They range from a really, really narrow spot to a wide angle. So what makes these unique is that they have a GPS that's integrated into the light bar. So depending on the speed that you're driving, the lights will switch for that speed. So if you're driving at a higher speed, you'll get that really narrow pencil beam. Then as you're slowing down and start to rock crawl, it integrates out to that nice wide beam. So it does all the work for you.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. And they've, I think the price range is somewhere between $900 to $1,800.
Yeah, so it's wider than that. Just looking at their website right now, the starting price is $829.99, and the top end spectrum is basically $2,800.
$2,800, wow.
That is a lot of dough for a light bar. However,
but hey, you don't have to flip any switches.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth the monies to avoid having to flip some switches.
Think of the time savings, Dan.
Yeah. I don't know who the target market is for this.
You got to be hitting 50 plus miles an hour on dirt roads and then slowing down to like 15 on corners to really make use of this.
Well, so, okay. To be fair, the racing community may be the target market. However, I don't know if you've ever seen a Baja race truck or somebody running at night in the King of the Hammers. They just have lots of lights. That's it. Just lots and lots of lights.
Turn them all on.
That's it. Turn on the sun and it's great. Also, having a ton of lights like that gives you some redundance. So if one light bar fails, which is pretty rare anymore, you've got a backup. Whereas this, you've got all of your eggs in one really expensive light bar basket.
Well, it's going to make it go faster. I mean, think of the weight savings. The weight savings, you're more aerodynamic. I mean,
man, this is a hard sell. And it has selectable user presets. So in case one person likes to drive with dim lights and the other. I don't know. I don't know, but it's there. If somebody in the 4x4 podcast, if you buy this, please tell me which money tree you're using. I don't care about the lights. Just tell me how it is you uncovered all this money.
If you do buy it, please use our Amazon affiliate link.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. Oh, man. Well, I think we have definitely reached the point in the show where things are going off the rails. But I think, like, we'll go around one more time just for the dream item. Money's no object. What are you buying? So I will give you 10 seconds to think of that. And so I think on my list, I showed my wife the picture of the new Jeep Gladiator, and that would probably be on my list. However, I would probably want a bigger motor. And I have to admit, even though I love the Eco Diesel for all of the torque and the great fuel economy, the turbo lag that you get in that, even when it's in 4 low, can be a challenge to rock crawl. So I caution anybody that's looking at waiting. If you're looking at buying the Jeep Gladiator, don't wait for the diesel option because it's probably not the ideal choice for rock crawling. If you're just going to use it as a mall crawler going around towing light trailers, then sure, by all means. But I think the Pentastar motor is probably the better choice for that one. But that would be my pick. And if I have my way, then I will have one in my driveway. But that's probably not going to happen. So, all right, Frank, dream item. Money's no object. What are you getting?
Dream item, it's actually kind of funny. My dream item is actually going full size because I have a 4Runner right now. It's to go full size. And I did have my sights set on the new 2nd gen Raptor, which would be really great, especially with a truck bed, being able to, either do a pop-up camper on the back or, just something better for longer distances and more traveling. But after coming out of the SF Auto Show, those new Rams look really, really nice.
Yeah, you get to drool all over the 2019s.
I did. I was impressed. I was really impressed. But I think my dream item would be going full size Expedition rig.
Nice. Well, if you're going to go full size Expedition, then the Ram is not where you want to stop. You're going to have to go up to like Stewart and Stevenson or Unimog or go for the big boys.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, a Unimog or what are they called? A Penzgauer?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that's beyond full size.
Well, I'm going to have to direct you to our friends over at Global Expedition Vehicles, and you can see some of the stuff that they make. I think starting price on most of their vehicles is the $300,000 range.
Gosh.
But you are probably living out of that thing full time at that point. Seeing as how it does cost more than a lot of houses. All right, Rich. Let's assume that you have been extremely good and Santa's going to bring you something worth more than $5.
Oh, it's easy. Be the Earth Roamer, the XVHD.
Oh.
Okay, there it is. You going full size too.
It's only $1.5 million.
Ooh. Man.
And I could probably fit some of those cool rigid adapt light bars in the front of it.
You could probably just buy all of the lights. Just go to Rigid and say, you know what? I'll take them all. Put it on this $1 million rig out here. Oh, man. Talk about dream big. I should have dreamed bigger.
Yeah,
what did you
Rich
say?
Got it.
I was just going for the Gladiator. Oh, the show is officially off the rails, so it's time to wrap it up. Thank you for everybody that has come to listen to our Christmas gift guide, holiday gift guide, whatever it is you want to call it, or just the episode where we all have a dream. So if you have anything that is on your list that we did not share, be sure to let us know. You can send us an email to the 4x4podcast@yahoo.com. Or send us a message on Facebook or the Instagrams or the Twitters, and we will get that. And, of course, we have our voicemail number. We haven't gotten any voicemails for a while. I put that on Instagram. Go ahead and save this into your speed dial, 719-924-5337. I welcome your drunk phone calls because that's going to be hilarious. Haven't got any yet, So somebody's going to be the first to call in some. I think one time I did get a butt dial, but no drunk calls. So be sure to send us there. If you would like to support the show, just head over to the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon. Do your shopping there. Or, buy our t-shirts and hoodies that are eventually going to be up there. Just do a search for the 4x4 podcast on Amazon. See what comes up. You can get one of those pop socket things. I don't get it. You know what I'm talking about? That goes on the back of the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But there's one up there with our logo on it. If you buy that, I promise I will not laugh. Well, I won't laugh at you anyways. I'll probably laugh. But anyways, that is it for the 2018 Christmas gift guide. Frank, you want to give us a rundown where somebody can go to follow you and all of your antics?
So you can follow me and all my antics on my Instagram page at Frank Rebelo, Rebelo, or you can stop on by at trail4runner.com and check out a whole bunch of articles that are up there.
Excellent. And Rich, where should somebody go to follow your antics?
I am at 4x4 podcast _Rich pretty much everywhere.
Excellent. And you, like I mentioned, I run all the stuff that says the 4x4 podcast. That's me behind the keyboard. So love chatting with everybody on all of the different social medias. So that is it for now. Have a great Christmas. I'm sure we will talk to you before then because I've got a pile of interviews that I need to get released. So that is it for now. We'll talk to y'all later.
Tacoma, Land Rover, Wrangler, Defender, Land Cruiser, Xterra, Raptor, and Tundra. But do you recall the most famous off-roading vehicle of all? Blackie the lifted XJ had some very shiny lights, and if you ever saw them, you would even say, "Wow, those are bright." All of the other off-roaders used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Blackie join in any off-road games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, "Blackie, with your lights so bright, won't you be my ride tonight?" Then all the off-roaders loved him as they honked their horns with glee. Beep, beep. Blackie the lifted XJ, you'll go down in off-road history.